Hey guys, Alex Kahn here, and I want to do another movie review in spirit of this Halloween season where I watch all kinds of Halloween movies that I can get my hands on. I want to apologize right now. I just shaved and I cut my lip and it's been bleeding profusely. So many apologies for that. I look kind of gross. But anyways, I watched this movie called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and this movie just released on October 9, so just a few weeks ago. And I was pretty excited to watch this because something that horror movies don't do too well often are wolf movies like Werewolf, Wolfmen. So I was excited to get my hands on this movie, so I ordered it on Vudu, and I gotta say it's a pretty short movie. It's only like an hour and 25 minutes, something like that. It's a really short movie. And when I saw the trailers and it showed a werewolf, I was so excited to watch this. I'm gonna tell you right now, there are no spoilers in this review because I want you guys to have the pleasure of watching this yourself. So you can already tell that I'm gonna give this movie a very favorable review just because I'm recommending it to you right now. So this movie stars Jim Cummings, and there's another big actor in there, Robert Forster, and he actually passed away 2019 October, so basically a year ago he passed away. Very sad. If you've seen his face, you would instantly recognize him. You might not know his name, but if you saw his face, you'd be, hey, wait a minute, isn't that the guy who was in such and such show or movie? He's got that kind of face where you just know that you've seen him before. So there's actually a lot of pretty good cast in this movie. So this movie is actually pretty hard to classify. If I were to classify this movie, I would say this is an offbeat horror comedy. So it's got all those elements working for it, and in my opinion, it's the perfect kind of movie that you can watch during this Halloween season. You know, it's got some elements of scares. It's got a lot of funny moments. It's got a lot of campy acting, which for Halloween, I think campy acting is very appropriate. That's not to say these actors can't act. I know they can act, but I think they purposely went with a campy style to give it that old school horror feel to it, and I loved it. So again, there's so many ways I can spoil this movie, so I got to tread carefully here. I just want to say this was a fantastic werewolf movie, but I don't think the werewolf was really the point of this movie. And now that I think about it, I don't really know what the point of this movie was. But it's a fun movie. But there's so many things that you can talk about. You can talk about the father-son dynamic between Jim Cummings and his father, who is passing away in the movie, and also passed away in real life, obviously. And then at the same time, this all takes place with the backdrop of all these murders taking place. And if you watch the trailers, you know, if it's in the trailer, it's fair game to talk about. But if you watch the trailers, Jim Cummings is saying stuff like, "There's not a werewolf out there; it's just a man." Um, so with that said, it's up to you guys to decide if it's a real werewolf or not. If you watch the movie, obviously you're going to find out. Um, Now I call this, you know, a horror comedy with offbeat elements to it, but there's also some very creepy moments. Like they were really creepy, and it's the kind of creepy moments that I'm probably never going to get out of my head, which is great because movies should do that too. They should always imprint something iconic from that movie upon you, and I think this movie did exactly that for me. Now I'm not going to call this, you know, like the best werewolf movie of all time. I've got other ideas for the best werewolf movies of all time, such as the classic Universal Wolfman movie, which, you know, it might be considered, you know, pretty dated. But for me, I like those kinds of old school horror movies because, you know, it set the trend, and something about that time period is very appealing to me. I also like the remake that Universal made for the Wolfman. That was a pretty good one. And then obviously there's Silver Bullet made back in the 80s. But I would definitely classify this movie. I would definitely put it up there for werewolf movies. And this is definitely the kind of movie you want to see during Halloween. It's perfect. What else to talk about? Oh, the setting of this movie is beautiful. I think it was filmed in Utah, so that made for the perfect winter backdrop for this movie. So it's the kind of town that you're like, man, I really want to live there. But probably in real life, if you got there, you'd probably find out that there's not much to do there. It might look really pretty, but it's probably the kind of town that you would get bored with after like a few weeks. I don't really know. That's just based on what they showed us in the movie. So I would highly recommend this movie. It's on Vudu. It's probably on other platforms too. It is a low budget movie, but it's the kind of movie that it doesn't really matter. This movie was made so well. The dialogue is it's appropriately campy, and it's fun, and man, it's such a great movie to watch, especially out of the newest batch of movies to come out this year. This is definitely fantastic. I would probably rank this next to The Invisible Man that came out this year too to watch during Halloween. And I'm still watching more Halloween movies. I'm trying to watch some new ones, but I'm also watching old ones too that I already love. But I want to mix it in with some newer ones too. If you have seen this movie, tell me your thoughts on this movie. Try not to post spoilers because I don't want people seeing the spoilers. I want people to watch this movie with an open mind and not knowing what they're getting themselves into, because that's one of the appeal to this movie is being surprised by what you see.